Steven, it's me. I'm here in Orlando. Yeah. Wait a second. Our dinner is tomorrow on Monday. I guess I'll fly home. I'll just come right back. I'll be back after dinner for our dinner. Okay, bye.
It really wasn't my fault that I messed up and by I, it was, and me saying not my fault, and then saying I, means it was my fault that I messed up the day of the dinner for the holiday party dinner, and not much of a party for Frono's Photo and all of our employees and their wives, except for me because I'm single.
Oh, hello there. I'm back.
Oh, hey, Steven.
And yes, you did kind of mess it up, and I'm glad that I realized it right before you flew to Florida and could change your flights, because I didn't realize it until, I think, the day before, right?
Yeah, no, it was the day before. It was the night before I was leaving. See, here's what happened. We go to the same restaurant every year. It's called Saloon. Look it up, Saloon Philly. It's like an old mafia joint, really good Italian place, and we like to go there, and it's nice. And I originally scheduled a Tuesday dinner, and so it went into my calendar for Tuesday, but then Steven wasn't able to go to that one. They weren't able to make it.
Because you scheduled it, and you're like, oh, here's dinner. It's this time, this day. I'm like, I can't do Tuesdays, dude.
That's because it was filling up fast, so I needed to, make a decision. And then you're like, okay, so then Monday was available, probably because the Eagles were going to be playing Monday Night Football. So I scheduled that, and it didn't change in my calendar.
Yeah.
So when I was deciding to go to the winter meetings to meet up with some photographers, the Major League Baseball winter meetings in Orlando, I set up a dinner with Mystery Man for Sunday night, and I was going to fly home Tuesday morning because Monday I was going to do some photo stuff with the other photographers that were there. Then you tell me that the dinner's Monday, and I'm like, well, I already booked my flight Sunday and Tuesday, and then I had to go in and make all that work, but I still flew down to go have dinner on Sunday. So I flew down Sunday I got in at 4:30 into Orlando. I went and hung out at the hotel with my buddy for a few minutes. Then we went to dinner at 7:30 with Mystery Man. Had that until like 10 o'clock. And then went back to the hotel, and at 10:30 in the morning, 10:33 to be exact, I flew back to Philly.
Less than 24 hours.
Yeah, it was fine.
Oh, man. You should have just got Mystery Man to fly his plane.
Nah, well, he was in Atlanta on Sunday shooting the football game, and then he flew back, and it was torrential downpour, he was like, yeah, we couldn't see when we were landing.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's why they use instruments. So that's what I was doing in Orlando for less than 24 hours. And I know people think that that's nuts. They think it's crazy, but I don't know. I think we live a different life sometimes with what we do.
Well, I mean, it depends what you do. For example, my uncle, he travels nonstop. He's definitely part of the whole 1,000,000-mile club. He's flying across the country for a 1-hour meeting and then coming back.
That's crazy.
He's probably in the air longer than he is on the ground.
Yeah, well, and I will say, though, going to Orlando is 1 hour and 54 minutes. After flying to Japan, after flying to Kenya and back, after going to Germany, after every flight being 6 to 8 hours plus,
it was a breeze.
1 hour and 54 minutes was like, oh, we're there already?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, okay, cool. It was just like a daily commute. It's really not that far. I know some people sit there and think that it's weird, but there's reasons behind why I would want to go have dinner with Junior and then want to go do this baseball thing. There's people that I want to talk to, and there's sometimes choices you have to make where you go and do these things because it pays dividends in the long run to put in the FaceTime and not just do Zoomy stuff or talk to someone on the phone. And that was really what I was going down there to do. There was something I wanted to talk to Junior about, and then there was something that I wanted to go to the baseball thing and do, but the baseball thing ended up not happening because I had to fly home on Monday morning. Not a big deal, but I will be in touch with the person I needed to talk to. I did leave one of my photo books, my 4x5 project, with my friend to give to that person so that they had it to have a discussion. So, it was worth it. Dinner was awesome. Really, really good. Dinner's good. You ate there, right?
I believe so, yeah. How expensive was that bill?
I don't know. I don't look at the bill. I don't look. I offer
over $2,000 at least. I guarantee it.
Yeah, but I offer. Like I always offer.
Sure.
I always make it a point to offer. But I'm not allowed. So
you don't do the Todd Wolf and just slide the bill over to the other person
every time. I was waiting for that at the holiday dinner. I was waiting for you to do that the other day.
I usually even offer myself, even though I know you're going to pay. I just feel like I want to at least offer, you know?
Yeah, well, so the holiday dinner is always interesting. We've got Dan. We've got Dan's wife. We got Steven's wife. We got Steven. We got me. And then I got an empty chair that, you know, for my being single, which they removed, which forced me to sit next to Dan. And Dan was in rare form. Actually, Dan was in Dan form. He just did not stop the entire night talking about everything.
I was going to say, that's not rare form. That is literally Dan. Every time I talk to Dan on the phone and it's supposed to be a 3-minute conversation, it ends up being at least 30 minutes. At least.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah.
You need to, now be like, I got to go.
Well, it ends up getting to that point, and then he brings up something else, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to end this conversation now. I'm under the gun with an edit, whatever.
Yeah. No, I actually had fun. It was funny. There was a lot of inside jokes that cannot be repeated on this episode that were extremely funny. There were a few times. Well, the time that I reached my hand under the table to touch Steven's thigh.
You kept doing it.
Well, then it was because I just wanted to see if you would react, but you kept a straight face when I did it.
It was Dan would say something and you would like hit my leg or like kick me and be like, oh, he's doing it.
Yeah. Or I would say something and your wife would be like, Jared.
Oh, man.
It was hilarious.
A very non-PC dinner.
Which was amazing. It's my type of dinner.
It is.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Thankfully, our wives are good with that stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was hilarious, man. Yeah. I thought that was fun.
It keeps it entertaining for sure.
For sure. And then we got out to they have valet parking in the city there, which is good. And by valet, I mean you like leave your car with the guy and they have like parking lot right outside, which is nice because if you're not in a city, you don't realize how great it is to actually have that. And you don't have to Uber and you just give the guy some money at the end and it's free parking and you just.
Pretty sure last year, Dan spent like 15 minutes driving around trying to get a spot because the valet was full. He had to park a couple blocks down the street.
He just doesn't have the pull that I have when I show up and they're like, oh, hey, Mr. Polin, nice to see you
Open
again.
the gates.
Hey, you want to leave your car right here? Yeah, that's fine. Right in the middle of the road. Perfect. Nailed it. Here you go. Bye. But what car did Dan drive?
Oh, his Subaru Baja, his baby.
Baja. Is that the first time you saw it in person?
But did you see his license plate?
What says gay?
It says Baja Blast.
Oh, I thought it said scissor wagon.
He's like, you like that? You see that? I'm like, cool, Dan, cool. I mean, if I was like 18, that'd be cool.
Oh, how much money did you spend on that, Dan? A custom tag.
No, he does love that car.
Oh yeah,
or
yeah,
truck,
yeah.
whatever you want to call it. Hybrid truck car, sedan. It's such a weird vehicle.
It's a mix between a car and an SUV, and it's got a flatbed. But he said he was going to put his scissor wagon sticker on there.
He loves his Subarus, man.
Well, what do you mean he loves his Subarus? He has one Subaru.
No, I thought his wife has a Subaru now.
Wait, what happened to her Honda Accord?
Didn't she get a new car? I thought she has a newer Subaru.
I did not know that.
Thought at dinner he brought up that she has the newer car and it was also a Subaru.
No, I don't know. Let me ask Dan right meow. Did your wife have a Subaru? Anyway, what'd you order for dinner?
I did my usual, which is surf and turf, lobster tail, and 8-ounce filet, I believe.
It's a 12-ounce filet
Is it
with
a
an
12-ounce?
11-ounce lobster tail.
Oof,
We
yeah.
don't do 8-ounce fillets, Steven. Those are for bitches. They're
you
for
know who we
Subaru
are?
drivers. Yeah.
No, it was very good, as expected. It always is every year. And they actually cooked it, I feel like, perfect this year. Maybe slightly undercooked, but medium rare is what I usually go for.
We have an official answer from Dan. He said an Ascent.
Yeah, see, I thought they said they had a Subaru.
I was unaware that they got rid of the Honda Accord.
Yeah, they are a Subaru family.
Regardless, holiday dinner was a lot of fun. It was good. Steven's back here. I flew to Orlando literally for 8 hours. And by 8 hours, I mean like 12 to 14 hours before I came home. And it was well worth it. And I enjoyed it. So it's been a few weeks since Steven's been here. Do you want to catch us up on everything that you've been doing and why you've been MI to the A?
Has it been a month? Or
Yes.
3 weeks?
No, it's been longer than that because I went to Kenya.
That was 2 weeks.
And I didn't do 1 week.
And then the R63 I skipped because I basically worked my ass off until the day before.
Yeah.
And then same thing with the A7 IV. Yeah, I skipped that because I worked nonstop.
Yeah.
Which I'll recap in just a second.
Yeah, so no, it's been a minute because there's been a lot to get done for all of these cameras, and I updated people on that a little bit last week on what you were working on, but it's better in your words if you want to share anything.
Yeah, so like you said, I'll probably go over some of the same things you already touched on last week, but I do want to get into the details a little bit, so bear with me. I've, like I mentioned, had a crazy few weeks ever since the R6 III came out. That alone was a tough project, which I also missed embargo on because you shot a bunch of B-roll over that weekend right before it got announced that I had barely a day to squeeze into the preview. But just to recap, we had that massive video followed by you going to Africa a week after, which meant that week following the video, we had to cram in a ton of big videos, a couple comparisons, lens reviews, but the biggest thing was trying to film all of like the ancillary R6 III content, like a full RAW file review, the sensor review, where I wanted to test the dynamic range, high ISO, along with rolling shutter compared to the Mark II, and then the autofocus review, which is basically an extended cut of what you shot with that camera, breaking down the good and the bad in terms of AF performance, and we got it all done. Filmed for like a week straight. Tons and tons of content. I felt great about everything. And then we got the call from Sony. Just days before you left, telling us the A7 V was coming. A giant monkey wrench thrown into the mix. So we did the briefing that Monday on the 10th, I believe. And you were leaving on the 12th, so 2 days later. But no one was in the Sony office to ship the camera out until the next day. And you were leaving the following day. So we were hoping it would come in time, but there was no guarantee. The main issue here is that you weren't coming home until the day before Thanksgiving, which left me just a few days to edit before the embargo lifted.
Well, we had to film when I got home too.
Exactly. Yeah. The plan was that if the camera came in time, which it did, thankfully, 4 hours before you left, I could take it into the studio, film all the beauty shots of the camera, record the menu, and then prep notes for you on what to focus on while you're in Africa. I was able to barely get all of that done, hand the camera off to you, and then that first step was done, thankfully. Fast forward 2 weeks after you come back from Africa. We filmed the preview. I'm at the factory till like 8 o'clock at night before the night before Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Eve, getting more pickup shots, and then the edit started on Black Friday. I go to lay out all your footage. I'm like, okay, cool. A lot of the stuff's done. We filmed the preview. Now it's time to edit. And everything you shot, I lay it out on the timeline, and it's like over 15 hours of footage. Like insanely overwhelming at a glance, from POV angles, EVF recordings you had, 360 clips, actual B-roll that you shot with the camera. And at that point, I have like 3 days to edit this massive project, and I'm like internally freaking out. The next few days proceeded to be like the most, I'm telling you, man, the most stressful days of my life. I kid you not. I think I had a combined 4 hours of sleep over like a 3-day period. 2 nights I really didn't sleep. I think I tried to sleep for like a few hours, and I laid in bed for 30 minutes, just anxious, and got right back up and started editing again. Now, meanwhile, to add to this stress, I had previously scheduled painting and carpentry to be done at my house the same exact week. Obviously, I didn't know the Sony was coming out when I scheduled all this stuff. So I'm trying to edit this project while I have people patching nail pops in my freaking office, putting an accent wall in the nursery across the hall, doing work downstairs. And it wasn't just a day of work either. There was a lot of work scheduled. I had crown molding put in throughout the first floor, like a full shiplap accent wall in the kitchen, added a backsplash in there as well, had some built-in cabinets made in our entryway foyer area. I did the accent wall in the nursery, like I mentioned, and got the whole kitchen, family room, and nursery painted on top of that. But I had to prep all this shit right before the Sony video, so I spent like every night cleaning, picking out paint colors, going back and forth with backsplash tile, grout color, cleaning out the nursery, the closet in there, which was our storage room before that, removed and cleaned all the blinds, took all the wall decor down, moved all the furniture. It was hell, like leading up to the actual A7 V video and then working on the house. So while all of this is going on, I'm not sleeping, trying to edit away. My wife hates me. I've barely seen my child in days. I was head down editing for days straight through. We also really struggled to film the actual video, so it took a good day just to like assemble and cut down the main cut. That really screwed me. Like a lot of Frankensteining had to happen. In the end, though, it got done. I missed embargo by a little over a day, but it is what it is. Surprised that we even got it done looking back. Like the amount of work that we did in a 2-week period is pretty mind-blowing with that camera, and for how we didn't know about it until 2 weeks beforehand. So it's all done. And a nice cherry on top. My washer broke a few days later. So I'm actually having a new one delivered today. So now I'm weeks behind putting up Christmas decorations, trying to get my house all back together while also finishing the nursery and prepping for another daughter to enter this world. It's been,
Jasmine.
It's been Cinderella. It's been a rough few weeks though, but I'm back on the pod, hopefully getting my life back together at this point. But it feels good to be back and somewhat normal and sleeping again. So that's where I've been.
I've been sleeping great and relaxed.
Screw you.
And I was like, yeah, man, whenever it gets done, gets done. Like, there's nothing we could do. It wasn't Sony's fault. It wasn't our fault.
Yeah.
Sony gave us 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It just so happened that 2 weeks corresponded with me going away. And there was just, it just was what it was.
Yeah.
And I was going to do the best I could. And normally I wouldn't have as much of that stuff shot or as much stuff shot because I'm going to shoot for like 3-4 different shoots while I'm home, but not 2 weeks straight while I'm in Kenya. So,
well, and it wasn't so much the B-roll that you shot with the camera that was a lot. That was only 2.5, 3 hours worth of footage. It was more everything else. The EVF recording, I think, was 8 hours alone.
that's because I recorded every single thing that I shot. I made sure
great.
that the EVF recording was on.
Just to go through all of that, it took nearly 2 days to go through that 15 hours plus of total footage. Because I had to pick out, where the autofocus missed or where it hit, where the pre-capture moments were, where the speed boost moments were. But like all the specs, I tried to find clips to highlight those moments and to showcase that spec in action in the real world. So yeah, it's just a lot of like scrubbing through stuff, seeing what I have. And I think I didn't actually start the edit, like after culling through everything, until Sunday night. Meanwhile, it's due Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like, there's no way this is getting done.
Yeah.
It's going to take me forever. And the 360 footage alone, too, trying to manipulate that and make it cool, that takes forever to do.
Well, it helped. I mean, it all looked good. You did a great job.
I didn't do the montage until, I think, 4 hours before we released it. Like, it was very, very last minute. That's the issue that kind of holds me up now, is you're doing more video footage, which is great, because these cameras are so jam-packed with video specs and features, but it takes much longer to edit. It definitely adds at least an extra day to make a video montage and to showcase the video portion. That's why the R6 III was also a few hours behind the embargo.
As I'll always continue to say, is we put out some of the best, if not the best, thorough, hands-on previews, reviews, whatever you want to call it. We shoot the shit out of it. We get real photos, and you know it. You see it. You see the results. And that's why it pisses me off when I see other content out there that is just like so half-assed and bad composed and shitty sounding audio and fucking shit photos. You hear me say it all the time, Steven.
I think we did a great job, though, working together to try and get that done. Like I said, I gave you kind of a list of things to work on while you're there, like what to focus on spec-wise and what to test out. And you pretty much did it all. And you did a lot of video, which I was very, very surprised about.
Well, I limited the amount of video that I did.
Well, and initially you were going to shoot a lot with the R1 and then shoot only a couple things with the A7 IV. And I kept saying, look, just bring the A7 V and only shoot with that at this point, and that's pretty much what you ended up doing.
Well, it's pretty much what I did, except for the last day. The last drive, the last half drive, the half drive that we did, I chose to leave just R1. I'm like, I'm done with this A7 V. I've done plenty with it. More isn't going to do any better. And I really love shooting with the R1. I really love shooting with the glass that I have for that. But you can see the results. It's not like you're looking at my stuff going, oh, this was not done with a pro camera. You can't tell. The quality of the work is the quality of the work. Where you can tell is that a 100 to 400 that's a 5.6, 4.5 to 5.6 is a lot different than 400 2.8. The separation is going to be different.
I will say, though, a lot of people in the comments were asking specifically what lens you used in Africa. And you primarily used that 100 to 400, which is a much slower, older lens, especially the version you had. It was a pretty beat up lens, right?
Oh, that lens was pretty fucked and beat up, yeah.
But you got great results with it.
You know why, Steven? Do you know why?
Because you are the best.
Because I am the best.
The best photographer ever.
One of the, and I'm very good at what I do, and I'm competent. And it always comes down to, if you know what the fuck if you understand the fundamentals, you can pick up any camera. I mean, this is what I've been doing for 16 years now on YouTube, is basically using every system. I mean, obviously it was just Nikon at the beginning and then transitioned to starting to learn the Canon, which was a long road to learn. But then you add the Sony into the mix, and I could pick up every system except for Panasonic is right now still confusing to me when it comes to their focusing system. But, you know, if I used it more, I would be able to know what to do.
Sure.
But anyway, so let's just jump right in to the Backlash. If you haven't seen my rant that is on the tube yet, go check it out. It's a very thorough, it's like 5 or 5.5 minutes without the plug of content where I wrote a script and talked about the bullshit backlash that's going on with the Sony A7 IV. Do you want to talk about the backlash? I mean, I don't think we need to go into super detail because I think people already know.
I want to talk about what the camera does have and what people are not realizing or just glossing over.
Or let's just take that back a second and say that maybe most people do realize it, but the vocal minority is being extremely vocal, except for the fact that there's a lot of YouTubers chiming in and saying dumbass shit.
All right, let me just quickly recap again what it does have. I feel like they gave Sony fanboys, fangirls, fan people everything they've complained about over the years for the most part. Fix the slow readout speed of that electronic shutter.
It was not even a slow readout speed. It was an
Unusable.
abominably,
It was unusable.
insanely unusable piece of shit.
The slow frame rate, which really wasn't that slow, 10 frames a second, but it went down to 6 if you shot uncompressed or lossless compressed RAW. The poor touchscreen, we've always talked about the very low resolution of that and the very angle part of that. The 4K 60p crop, everyone always complained about that. 120p only being in 1080. Now, it's got a brand new partially stacked fast BSI 33 megapixel sensor. Again, much faster readout and electronic shutter, 12 milliseconds, I believe is what they quoted it at. New XR2 processor with the AI chip for better autofocus, 30 frames per second, RAW pre-capture and speed boost, and it has 14-bit RAW in electronic shutter, which nobody does in this class of cameras. The R6 III doesn't do it. The Nikon Z6 III doesn't do it. It's also got one-stop better dynamic range compared to the predecessor, updated high-res 4-axis touchscreen, full-width, oversampled 4K 60p video. That was the big thing for the video shooters, I thought. AI features like the dynamic active mode stabilization along with auto framing, which I really like. Dual USB ports, which is a first.
Unique.
Very unique.
We're at the point where certain specs, you're like, it doesn't matter to talk about. Like ISO is almost irrelevant to talk about at this point.
Agreed.
So, and autofocus, we're almost at the point where that's irrelevant because it's so good across the board.
Especially with Canon and Sony. I just feel like that the same thing kind of happened to the R5 Mark II to Canon when they released that. It was another 45 megapixel sensor, but all new, fully stacked sensor. On paper, it seems kind of the same and not much has changed, but in reality, it's a brand new camera. Same thing with the A7 IV, 33 megapixel sensor, same resolution as before, but this time around, it's partially stacked, completely reworked, faster sensor. And I feel like it's getting glossed over.
Well, yeah, I mean, the big question is, if the A7 V came out before the Canon R6 Mark III, would people have been as up in arms about the RAW and the open gate bullshit?
Good point.
You know, it's like we're not trying to give Sony a pass on leaving something out. It's the reality of the fact that this is the sub $3,000, basically entry-level full-frame camera that has so much already to offer, and you want to throw everything at it, and you want it to replace all of the cinema cameras, and you want it to do everything. You have those options if you want to go spend the money, but for the value, yeah, it's $28.99. It's $900 more than 7.5 years ago when the A7 III came out. But tariffs and inflation have hit. And so, if anything, it would have been around $2,500, $2,400 if we didn't have to worry about that shit.
See, the whole open gate thing, like nobody made a big deal when the Nikon ZR didn't have it. No one made a big deal when the FX2 didn't have it. Two cinema-focused cameras that should have it. But the A7 V, which is more of a hybrid camera, that really shouldn't have a feature like that. Because that doesn't have it, it's time to flip out and make a big deal about it. I don't understand it. Like you said, it's mainly because the R6 III has it, but really no other camera around here has it minus the Lumix cameras.
can you step back? See, and I was talking to Manny Ortiz, Papi Chulo himself,
Papi.
about it, and he was talking about the Panasonic. He's like, yeah, like Panasonic gives it everything, except for the fact it limits things, that if you do make this change, you lose out on this. It's only in this. And see, people miss out. They don't understand. They also don't understand that Sony isn't sitting there going, Canon just put out the R6 Mark III. We need to make sure that the A7 IV has this in it.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. There's lead times of years to make these cameras what they are. Can you quickly give the 30-second synopsis of what OpenGate actually is? Because I know people hear the term, but then they don't understand what it actually means and what it would be to like not have it, but make it seem like you have it.
So think of it like shooting a still photo with your camera. It's shooting a 3:2 aspect ratio still photo. When you go into video mode, you then jump into a 16:9 crop. Basically, the top and bottom get cropped off. With OpenGate, you're basically shooting still photography in video mode. It's full 3:2 aspect ratio, the entire sensor. So this is a 7K sensor. It would be shooting 7K in resolution in OpenGate. You're gaining roughly 10 to 15% on the top and bottom of the frame, but in turn, you're gaining a lot more data and storage needed for that OpenGate. So, and overheating usually happens a lot quicker, at least with the R6 III. That's not going to last nearly as long as shooting 4K 30 oversampled, for example.
Thank you for the explanation. And the thing is, Gerald Undone did a video where he explained that all you need to do is take a step back with the camera and you're going to get the same framing. Well, you have to think, people are like, well, it allows me to get the vertical for Instagram and TikTok and vertical video. You're like, oh, something that people are going to watch on their fucking phone? You need 7K for that, you fucking morons?
I like Gerald's take on it, how he's basically saying, like, people are watching your 9:16 vertical content while they're taking a shit. They don't care how it looks. If there's black frames at the top or bottom or it's a little cropped off, who cares? There's usually text and shit on the screen anyway when they're watching on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And if you care about quality, that's another thing. It's getting compressed to hell and back when it gets uploaded to these programs. So in the end, like, only use case that I can see it for is like full frame anamorphic lenses. But I feel like if you're using full frame anamorphic lenses, I would 100% go to a Lumix camera at that point.
I still don't understand anamorphic lenses. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't. I just sit there and I'm like, cool, bruh. Cool. Anamorphic lenses. Cool.
But like Gerald says, just simply step back a little bit, shoot a looser 4K frame, crop it in post. And all right, you're going to crop a little bit, but like in the end, no one's going to know because you're only losing 10% of that headroom with OpenGate anyway. So you're doing the same amount of post in cropping. I don't know. I just think that's the way to go. Plus, I feel like in the end, shoot for horizontal and vertical should be a secondary thought, not the opposite way around.
Yeah. And when it comes to RAW, everybody knows I shoot RAW when it comes to photos. When it comes to video, look, if you're making movies, if you're making like, but even the stuff that I captured in Kenya for video, you don't sit there and go, oh, this is terrible because it was shot in whatever S-Log3 or whatever the hell you had me shoot it in.
S-Log3, yeah.
It doesn't matter. Quality is quality is quality is quality. If you know what you're doing, you can get good results. Going back to the 5D Mark II.
Yeah, I think the only thing in Kenya that threw me off with editing was you used auto white balance for everything, and the white balance was shifting like crazy. So I would have it set right color-wise, and then all of a sudden in a few seconds it would shift the tint or something, and it would look way off.
Do you think a video feature should have that locked in automatic when you hit record? Like it should stay locked in?
Well, no, because if you're running and gunning, it makes sense. But if you're simply shooting like a static subject that nothing's changing, that's where I would personally lock it in. I just think if you're not shooting raw video, it's a lot less forgiving than a still photo. I would 100% lock in. I mean, I typically always lock in white balance.
Well, you know what happened? I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it in the fucking
the function menu. It should be there.
I tried. I couldn't find it. And then if I finally did find it a little later on and I did lock it to daylight, then I put it on daylight. But it took me a minute to find it. More so when I'm actually sitting there shooting, I'm like, I just got to shoot.
That definitely took me a couple extra hours to really dial in the grade in the end. But it came out, I think it came out great. And back to the OpenGate thing. In the end, though, I will say Gerald Undone, he's not saying it's useless, but more unnecessary and just highly overrated. And people are, again, glossing over all the other specs because it doesn't have this specific spec or raw video.
And a lot of complaining is from people who aren't going to buy the camera anyway or never were going to buy the camera. Like, it has to have this or else. Look, if you need to have that feature, then go buy a camera that has that feature, a cinema camera. Go do it. Like, if that's your thing. But if you're a Sony shooter, you have Sony options that you could go do that. You're not going to jump ship to go to Canon. That was the other thing I was talking about. You don't jump ship anymore. You make a decision to go to a system for whatever reason you go to that system for, and you stick with it. I would never buy a Panasonic system at this point. The glass choices, I think, are just non-existent. I know you have the whole L-mount alliance. I just don't like the choices that exist there versus going directly with Sony, directly with Canon, or even if you wanted to go with Nikon, going directly with Nikon.
I think the only thing I don't like in the A7 IV, by the way, is more like the buffer size. I think isn't much, but I mean, it's still a ton. But if you're shooting at full 30 frames per second,
and
especially
pre-capture
too, along with like lossless compressed RAW, you're getting barely a second of shooting. Or if you're shooting RAW plus JPEG, something like that. And that stupid hidden angle of view priority mode, which they didn't tell us about during the briefing. They just completely skipped over that has to be turned on for true full width 4K 60. That's really annoying. And I think by default, that should be turned on. I had no idea that even existed until after the fact.
Yeah. So what you guys don't understand is a lot of times we have these briefings with these companies and they'll tell us things on these calls. And a lot of times Steven knows better, even though he'll ask questions and they'll like, we'll get back to you. And then they never, and this is all manufacturers, not just Sony, and they never get back to us. And Steven usually discovers things about the cameras when he gets them in his hands, which he didn't have any time to really use this camera beforehand because he sets it up for me when it comes to video.
That was the issue is I maybe had, 5 minutes at your house right before you left to go on the plane. I had a few minutes just to set it up quickly, and I just locked in, 1, 2, and 3 on the mode dial, so you can do 4K 24, 60, 120 just by the turn of a dial really quick when you're in Kenya. But I didn't get a chance to go through the entire menu and realize, oh, there's this new feature that I wasn't told about that has to be enabled. That nothing comes up on the screen either. Like, make sure you're in angle of view priority.
Yeah.
So technically, you shot cropped 4K 60 and 120,
which I had no idea.
Yeah, but thankfully you still get the oversampled image. There's no line skipping or anything weird going on. So it worked out in the end. You still get the quality of it. It's just a tighter frame.
The moral of the story is it's a solid offering from Sony.
Oh, yeah.
And the bitching is unwarranted. And the last thing I want to get into about it is the YouTube backlash from other YouTubers who are talking shit after making videos that were more positive, but when the comments started to skew, they went and changed their view and changed their content to reflect that. And I just think that is stand by your thoughts. Like, we do this day in and day out. There's only a handful of us that have been doing this for 10 plus years that get to use all of the systems and have a better understanding of how this stuff works. But just nitpicking like, oh, you're not listening to your fan, you're not listening to the commenters. Well, one, you really shouldn't listen to the commenters, as Steve Jobs always, proved. You have an idea, you go and you do it. Now, if you get something completely and totally wrong, you're going to fix it. But this is something that it's like not that big of a deal. And it's just the backlash from YouTubers just piling on because they don't want to be seen as having a differing opinion from someone else. That's why I made the video yesterday. That's why that video went out. It's just like, it's one thing if you're completely wrong and you want to make a correction. That's fine. But it's another thing when you're just nitpicking on something that shouldn't be. And then you get people who are like, well, you're just like, with that thinking, you should have just used an iPhone. It's like, yeah, okay, fuck off. You don't even know what you're talking about. We're not even going to entertain that.
And during the preview itself, I think there was just a one-liner about like it not having OpenGate or RAW video, but it really doesn't matter in the end, is what you said. We still stick by that.
100%.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
But that's why we didn't make a big deal out of it, because it's not a big deal, in my opinion.
Even I probably said the same thing in the Canon video. Cool, it has OpenGate. Not going to need it. Well, most people don't use it.
You did, but we also described what OpenGate is and showcased it just because it's a brand new feature to the Canon lineup.
Right.
And to most people that shoot video, I think, in that line of cameras.
I mean, that's basically why the people are up in arms. They look at what the other spec is from the one camera and they go, well, this system has it. Why can't you?
The funny thing is, compared to the R6 Mark III, I think the A7 IV on paper has better specs for the most part.
Well, we know the sensor is better.
Faster readout, 14-bit RAW in that electronic shutter. You definitely get a hit on the R6 III with a 12-bit RAW. Better pre-capture up to 1 full second. Better thermals for longer recording in 4K 60, for example. But the R6 III has full-frame 4K 120, no crop, although it's line skipped. It has open gate, obviously, RAW video, DCI, aspect ratios. I don't know. It's all a wash in the end. I think they're both incredible cameras.
Again, stills first with
For you,
the features
yes.
of video.
Yeah.
But you can buy both of these cameras and strictly just want to shoot video and get fantastic results.
As long as it has 4K 30 oversampled, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I still don't care about 4K 60. Anyway, hopefully that puts a lot of that to rest. We do have a lot of content we probably won't get to until the beginning of the year, like the comparisons.
Yeah, so now it's all the comparisons. It's all the smaller A7 V videos, like the sensor review, although we need that camera back to do that. I also want to test out more rolling shutter because you really didn't get to do that. Obviously, in Africa, shooting animals, there's nothing really to showcase rolling shutter.
I guarantee you it's going to be fucking impossible. I'm probably better off calling B&H and being like, hey, send us this camera and we'll send it back when we're done, because like Sony has gotten extremely bad at allowing us to have cameras for more than the 2 weeks.
Well, we had to send it back late too, because again, you didn't get back from Africa until the 26th.
Well, that was a given. That was a given already right out of the rip. I'm like, guys, I'm going to be away. But it's just like, don't you see the forest for the trees? Like, don't you like get it that I'm literally taking it into a real world and not walking around a park kicking snow? Like, don't you want me to use this like for real?
Yeah.
The only thing they had to worry about was me leaking the damn thing in an Insta story, which didn't happen. So that basically puts a fork in that discussion. It needs to stop and people need to move on. And I'm sitting here thinking about the email that I'm going to write for the weekly email. And the main premise that I keep coming up with is the thing that everybody needs to do is shoot and learn the fundamentals. And that is not to downplay the importance of cameras having certain features, but there's certain features that you should complain about and there's certain features you shouldn't. And you really just need, no matter what system you're on, to understand the fundamentals and basics of everything.
Like Gerald said, it's not useless, but it's more unnecessary and just highly overrated.
Okay, so let's move on. .org again. The latest rumor on the Canon rumor site brings up the retro Canon AE1 style of camera that they've been told is now in the works and is coming.
We don't know much. What we do know, supposedly, from this rumor website, it'll have the same 32.5 megapixel sensor as the R6 III. So think basically R6 III guts for the most part.
Will it have open gates, Steven?
Well, they're saying it'll have minimal video focus, which I would expect, less features overall, and because of that, it will cost significantly less. I'm thinking around that $2,000 price point to match like the Nikon ZF, for example.
It's just overpriced. It's just my take is. Well, actually, I really like the quote that I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have it right up in front of me. But there was a quote from a Canon executive talking about, what an AE1 would mean being digital, but in the same form factor that it once was designed. And in essence, they were saying, well, it was designed a certain way 50 years ago, and things have changed. And so what types of updates can we do to the ergonomics, but still keep the feel of the old style camera?
Here's the exact quote. It says, and we really focus on the ergonomics of the grip, the positioning of the dials, the buttons, and other elements, speaking of their current Canon cameras, basically. So if we were to do that with the design of the AE1, would it really achieve the kind of ergonomics and usability that we need in a Canon camera? That's the big question. So would they redesign it and make it feel more modern or keep the aesthetic of an old school retro camera?
That is the question.
My gripe about the ZF was always like the lack of a grip, but it does take away that retro look.
Who fucking cares?
Just like the Fuji, for example, like my X100VI, just give me the option of a grip, an accessory or something like that I can add on.
Nikon adds that on. I think that is stupid.
Yeah.
I don't think you should have if you need it right out of the box, to make it feel like an actual camera to use it, then it defeats the purpose. Look, if you're just buying a fashion statement, fine, go buy a fucking fashion statement. I don't care. But that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about these people who think that they need to get a retro camera for no reason. No one, I want to say no one is looking at you shooting and being like, oh man, look at the retro look of that camera. And I really wish that camera looked more retro and not modern. No one cares.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking for like a tiny little nub. I don't need a giant grip that's ergonomically perfect.
That's because you're used to small, tiny things in your hand.
For it. Oh, good one.
Oh, hey, I'm here all week.
But yeah, I think if it was designed after the AE1, I mean, that makes perfect sense. And they're saying it's going to be announced next year to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the AE1. I just want it to be more still centric, like almost rip out the video features, really make it a dedicated still photography camera. Give me the tactile dials and metal. Don't give me like cheap plastic stuff like the ZFC. I think the ZF is also like that. I want legit, like, I want to feel robust.
The Nikon DF kind of answered the retro camera thing back in the day.
That was like a combo hybrid of a DSLR with a retro look.
It was a D4 sensor in a retro camera. It gave people what they asked for, but it was actually ergonomic and it looked retro with the way they had the viewfinder up top.
Like it looked like a DSLR that had a retro aesthetic appeal to it, you know? It wasn't a complete mimic of the old Nikon FM2 or whatever.
No, but who, like, fuck you. Like, you don't, if it's just for buyers who just want aesthetics, fine, go, by all means. But don't sit here and like nitpick it and then say, oh, it didn't give me this feature, it didn't give me that feature, it doesn't do this, it really needs to do that. And it's just, if they make it, and if I don't know how they would make it out of metal, I don't know how few they could actually make. And I keep saying I want a digital camera that you know, get rid of the screen, you can put the EVF in it, put a winder in it, and make you have to wind it every time.
Yeah.
Unlike that, it's very similar to that shitty Fuji that came out at $900 that has already dropped $250. I think they've dropped it into the $600 range. That's a $399 camera.
Was that the X half or whatever?
Yeah, the X half.
Yeah.
Like that is a $399 camera, and everybody would be like, "Oh, that's amazing." So let's see what it looks like right now, price wise. $649. It's $200 off. It's still overpriced for what it is. Without that, you want to talk about a camera that doesn't have RAW? That's a camera that doesn't have RAW.
Oh,
just
yeah.
JPEG only, and it didn't sell well.
Speaking of pricing, the ZF sells for $1,900 right now and was announced at $2,200. I think this camera would have to come in around that same price, $2,000, $2,200, significantly less than the R6 III, and you know, a little more stripped. I think of it more like an R8 Mark II in a retro body. I think that's
that was what I was saying in my news story for next week, because I saved that story, is that I rather see you make an R8 Mark II. It doesn't. You'll sell more of those unless here.
I don't know, man. The retro appeal with the kids these days. It's hot on the streets.
Yeah, cool, great. Here's what I would do if I was Canon. You want to make a retro camera, you don't think you're going to sell a lot? Come out with a retro fucking camera that's limited edition. You make 5,000 of them, or however many number you need to make, and you make a price appropriate to that 5,000 so that you make a little bit of money for the time that you put into it. And if it's $2,500, if it's $2,899, if it's $3,000, but it gives the retro feel and it puts some windy shit into it, fine, go for it. But don't expect to sell a shit ton of them.
I would also love to see a kit lens that is also somewhat unique, like pair it with the 45-1.2, but maybe a retro style version of that lens, because, you know, that's an interesting lens. It has certain characteristics to it that aren't perfect.
What am I missing, Stephen? What am I missing? Like, what is missing in my body and in my brain for this appeal to have a retro looking thing in my hands? Why does it matter?
It's just like why vinyl's coming back. Like,
it's not coming back.
Kids are wearing clothes like the 90s again. It all comes back. It's all...
Yeah, but that's clothes every 30 years. Every 30 years it rotates, and I'm happy because I'm ready for hip huggers, and I love midriffs on women, except for the fact that the girls are wearing this are now like 20, and I'm still looking because they're fucking hot.
You just got to remember, though, at the end of the day, this is more of like a fashion statement than a camera for most people, I think. I think people really care. I think of like Peter McKinnon, who really cares about his look, his style. Like that's why he rocks a Leica, because it kind of adds to that aesthetic, all of that.
So you know where the disconnect is in my brain? I come from the point of, if you're going to invest some money in a system and in a camera, I don't think about buying and wasting money on this. I come from the mindset of like, it's a tool to help me get better results, not a fashion statement to show off. And in that, if that's the sense, then they could make a $999 stripped down point and shoot that is retro looking. That's a point and shoot, right? That just looks cool. Maybe puts in a stupid little like is retro, like fine. Like I would be more happy with something like that is geared towards the fashion side, that's a point and shoot, than a fully functioning one that has the same exact thing as a R6 III basically, but in a shittier way to hold on to it.
Yeah, but again, if you are a photographer, again, I bring up Peter McKinnon, I could see you wanting both worlds. You want that aesthetic, you want that look, and you also want the bells and whistles of all the features of the R6 III.
I'm talking about a person that has to make a buying decision and can't afford to have two different things.
Sure.
And is now sitting there going like, buying a subpar quality camera instead of something that is better.
Oh, this is 100% a secondary camera. I don't think people are buying this as their only camera, in my opinion.
I would rather see an R6 Mark II come in at under, $2,000 and come in at $1999. That harkens back to the Sony A7 III era and puts in an R6 III. See, the things that I would want to see in a camera like this, an R8 Mark II, the bigger grip so it takes the regular battery. I will forego the extra card slot. I will forego that for the bigger battery.
IBIS.
But what about IBIS?
It needs to be the A7C too. That's what it needs to compete against.
Basically, that is retro styling. Like, just make it, call it retro, but I don't think you need to do it.
Yeah, no, I get it. But back to the 45-1.2, that would be really unique to pair that lens with something like this and make it a decent affordable package, like say $2,400 for the full pairing with the 45-1.2 as a kit lens. I think that would be a pretty nice look.
Look, wrong word. You just keep using that word.
It's someone that you don't give a shit about how you look or your style or anything like that. You're just like, I'm wearing the same shirt every day. I don't give a shit about my hair, whatever. People do though.
I dressed up for dinner.
You're wearing like what you wore to dinner, a hoodie.
I put on jeans.
Meanwhile, I had like a button up, nice dress shoes. Dan's got like a nice sweater on.
I put on a pair of jeans and I put on my really expensive jacket that's retro looking. That was $2,200 that I bought on a Canon trip in South Carolina.
I was there.
Was it South Carolina?
That was for the R8. Actually, yeah, that was for the R8 trip, the R8 and the R50.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. I bought that leather jacket and never wear it because I don't care about fashion. That's just my take on the world.
That is a nice jacket, though.
It is. It's very nice. And I literally just put it on when I got out of the car, took it off when I got into the restaurant, and put it on when I got into the car. It was, I guess that's what it is. You're supposed to show off or something. And that's it.
I don't really have any showy jackets.
I got a bunch of showy jackets.
Yeah.
So leading into next week, I mean, I made some notes to talk about predictions, and I don't think I give a shit about like the Fro Awards. We've never come up with the Fro Awards because I think it's kind of stupid. Though, if I did do the bobbleheads again, I'd have plenty of bobbleheads. I could ship them to Panasonic for worst camera of the year. Oh wait, I'm just kidding. I don't.
They're fighting words, man.
I know. I sent that Panasonic back, and I just can't see Panasonic surviving in the stills world.
What did we get briefed on? Was it the S2?
Whatever the latest one is, and they sent it, and I used it. And part of the issue was like that focusing. Like it is so. There are so many features in that menu that you're not sure what you need to turn on. What is the right autofocus mode? It's just very difficult. And I had the wrong mode on first, and then I put on the right mode. I was like, oh, it's actually tracking now, sort of. But what it does is it does like a crosshair.
It's not on by default. Yeah, I find it a little odd that they don't have that setting on by default.
You'd think that they would want to have the better setting on by default.
Yeah, just like the angle of view priority, Sony should be on by default.
So next week most likely will be the last episode of the year with Steven. I don't know if I'll get bored during Christmas being a Jew and sit down and
you definitely will
whine about some shit.
I do want to bring up too about kind of what we're doing with having the podcast on YouTube moving forward. We already kind of started this transition. I think what we're going to do is put the podcast live on Friday on YouTube, let it live over the weekend, and then unlist it so it doesn't show up on the main YouTube channel page of Jared Polin. But if you want to go back and listen to it, you can still click on the podcast tab, and it's in that playlist with every single Raw Talk. It just won't live on the video section of the channel page. I wish they did this by default, but for some reason they don't. And unfortunately, it just looks bad when, the podcast is next to a video and it has like 2,000 views.
Yeah, it's a visual thing, and it's frustratingly annoying. The way that YouTube was supposed to do it is have a separate tab for just podcasts. And they were told, like, we specifically said, is this going to show up in our feed? And they had no clue.
They described it as only living on the podcast tab, not on the video page.
They said notifications wouldn't go out.
Yeah.
None of this would happen. And it's like, well, you see, this is why I don't listen to those creator partners when we talk to them.
And they treat it like a normal video. It still gets the 10 out of 10. It still shows up on the video tab. It shows up everywhere. It still goes out to subscribers, which is good and bad. Just for us, it's kind of just another platform to listen to it. We don't really want to treat it like a video because it's not a video podcast. And unfortunately, it doesn't look good to potential sponsors either if they rate, say, the last 10 videos and want to see the average of views, and those podcasts are mixed in there.
Right. You have 100,000 video, and then you have a 2,000, and it's like, well, that you just negate the whole thing.
So again, we'll let it live for the weekend. You'll get the notification. You can listen to it there. You'll have a couple days, and then it'll go on the podcast page. You can still listen to it after those couple days. You'll just have to click on the podcast.
Still listen to it free anywhere you want.
Of course, anywhere else.
On fronosphoto.com/podcast. It's always there at the Spotify and iTunes. Like, I still don't understand people like, I only listen on YouTube. I don't understand that because I don't have the other apps. Okay, you have a website. Go listen at fronosphoto.com/podcast. You can just let it play. You could download the MP3. You could put it on Dan's freaking iPod, for God's sake.
Does he probably does use one, doesn't he?
I don't know. It's probably in his Baja. It's probably plugged in with a cassette player that plugs in. You remember cassettes could plug into a phono device?
Yeah.
I was like, how the hell did that work? But it did. It did.
He's definitely still rocking CDs in his car.
That's right, because I own them.
I paid for this. I'm like, damn, I also pay a subscription for Spotify, but okay. I'm not like illegally pirating music here.
All right, let's get out of here. I want to get to work. More work.
I was going to say, this is work.
Yeah, I did. Well, technically. This is RAWtalk episode 179. I hope you guys enjoyed this, whatever it is that we did.
This ranty episode.
And that's where I'm going to leave it. Steven, anything else to add?
No, just speaking of rants, listen to the latest rant video that Jared put out just yesterday. It's a good one on the Sony a7 IV. Kind of has everything we included here, but a little more of a twist. So it's good.
Thank you guys very much for listening. Jared Polin, fronosphoto.com. See ya.
Bye.